Hi Big Tractor Power fans, this video comes to you from a Western Kentucky dairy farm, and it's corn chopping time, and that means that a lot of this farm's big John Deere farm equipment is at work out in the field. There are forage harvesters chopping the corn, tractors and wagons hauling the silage back to the farm for storage, other tractors wrapping that corn silage up to become feed for the dairy cows. And then the interesting thing about this region of the country is the weather allows for a second crop of sorghum to be planted right behind the forage harvesters. Cow manure is injected into the field after the corn is chopped to add fertilizer to the soil through a drag line. Then the field is harrowed and an air drill is used to plant the second crop of sorghum. The double crop sorghum grows over the remaining weeks of the summer, and then the farm returns to the field with their forage harvester to chop the crop and produce that into feed for their dairy herd. This video will share with you all the big John Deere farm equipment that is involved in producing these two forage crops. Watch for two 616 horsepower John Deere self-propelled forage harvesters and a fleet of tractors ranging from 175 to 410 engine horsepower. Now let's head out to the field to see all this big equipment in action. The corn chopping process is pretty exciting to watch on this farm. It involves a lot of big green and yellow iron working together out in the field to bring in the crop. Harvesting the corn is a pair of John Deere self-propelled forage harvesters rated at 616 horsepower. They're equipped with 20-foot wide row-independent corn heads that use big buzz saws to slice through the crop, and the forage harvester chops it into small pieces to produce feed for the dairy cows. Hauling all this silage away is a fleet of 12 H&S forage boxes pulled by a number of John Deere tractors, including 175, 200, 245, and 295 horsepower. It only takes a few minutes for the big self-propelled forage harvesters to completely fill the H&S forage boxes with 10 tons of silage. It takes 2 of these wagons just to get the chopper from one end of the field to the other. When the wagons are full, it's time to head back to the farm and unload into a silage bagger that wraps up the corn to help it ferment to become feed for the dairy cows. As this 8295R unloads the SD7+4 wagon into the bagger, let's take a look at the bag. This is where the silage is stored. It's just like a big hefty garbage bag. It's pretty solid and it's airtight, so it will help ferment the corn that's going in and store it until it's ready to be fed to the cows. Once the corn has been harvested and put in the bag, it's time to start moving manure from the lagoon on the farm out to the field. The farm utilizes 3 175 engine horsepower John Deere tractors on Hool agitators, which stir around the manure in the lagoon to agitate it and then pump it through a line all the way out to the field where it's injected into the soil as fertilizer. Here we can see one of the farm's 370 horsepower tractors working with the manure drag line. The hose attached to this chisel plow runs all the way back to the lagoon that we just saw being agitated. A steady stream of liquid manure is pumped from the farm directly to the field. This tractor has to remain in constant motion as it injects the manure into the ground to help spread out the fertilizer and get the next crop ready to go into the ground. The tractor moves very slowly as it applies the manure. The dragline hose is under constant pressure, and there's a certain amount of liquid manure that has to be injected per acre, and in order to achieve that rate, the tractor moves at a snail's pace to make sure that the fertilizer is reaching the desired amount. The 3-point mounted chisel plow that is injecting in the manure serves two purposes. It makes sure that the nutrients are kept in the soil and reach the roots of the next crop that will be planted. It also helps to break up the compaction of the big forage harvesters and the multiple passes made by the forage wagons back and forth across the field. Following directly behind the manure drag line is another 370 horsepower John Deere tractor. It's pulling a 50-foot wide McFarlane harrow. This implement is used to smooth out the field, knocking down the ridges left behind by the manure plow, and it also firms up the seedbed just ahead of the air drill that will seed in the second crop of sorghum. The farm uses a 410 engine horsepower tractor to pull a 40-foot wide air drill to seed in the second crop of sorghum over the corn stalks left by the harvest. This big tractor is pulling a commodity tank full of sorghum seed, and the drill seeds the sorghum on 15-inch spacings. This big seeding team is working in close proximity to the manure dragline in the harrow. If you look out in the distance across the field, you can see both of those 370 horsepower John Deere tractors working just ahead of the air drill. And just down the road, the two big forage harvesters are working, taking in the next field of corn. Here we can see the double crop sorghum as it's growing after it's been planted following the corn harvest. It's just starting to put on grain. The southern climate of western Kentucky allows the farm to have the two crops, with corn being chopped in late July and early August, and then there's enough warm weather left in the season to allow this sorghum to reach maturity before it's harvested in the fall. Chopping double crop sorghum is similar to chopping corn. The farm uses the same forage harvesting equipment. The big chopper processes the sorghum and feeds it into the forage boxes, which haul it back to the farm, where it's wrapped up for storage and to ferment to become feed for the farm's dairy cows. I hope you've enjoyed spending some time on this Western Kentucky dairy farm, seeing all these big John Deere farm machines at work producing forage to feed their dairy herd. If you would like to see more videos like this one, consider subscribing to Big Tractor Power YouTube, where there's over 1,000 videos of farm machines in action. As always, thank you for watching.